Okay, you know the scene. You open the fridge, you're looking for a snack, and you grab that yogurt. But then you see it. The date on the lid says it expired yesterday. And your brain just goes into overdrive, right? Do you risk it, or does it go straight into the trash?
Well, that tiny moment of hesitation, that one little decision, when it's repeated in millions of homes every single day, it adds up. We're talking about billions, and I mean billions of dollars of perfectly good food getting thrown away every year, all because we're confused by one little date.
But what if I told you that most of those dates are not what you think they are? In this explainer, we are going to decode what these food expiration dates really mean, and more importantly, how you can tell the difference between a simple suggestion and a serious warning. So let's just dive right into it. This is what I like to call the billion-dollar mistake. It's a huge, widespread misunderstanding that's costing all of us a ton of money and just filling up our landfills. Think about it. For pretty much all of human history, food didn't come with a printed deadline. People just used their senses. Does it smell weird? Does it look a little off? Simple as that. It wasn't until the 20th century, really, when food started traveling these huge distances to sit on grocery store shelves, that dates were even introduced.
And here is the absolute key, the most crucial part of this whole thing. These dates were never meant to be safety warnings for you, the consumer. They were markers of quality for the manufacturer. It was just a way for them to guarantee their product tasted and looked exactly how they wanted it to when you picked it up. That's a massive difference.
So that brings us to the heart of the matter. If we want to stop wasting all this food, we have to learn how to crack the code on these different labels. Because you see, not all dates are created equal. Not even close.
All right, first up, best before. The best way to think about this is as a suggestion for peak performance. It's the company saying, hey, for the absolute best flavor, the best texture, you should probably eat it before this day. The food is almost always still perfectly safe to eat after. Now, use by is a totally different beast. This is the one you really need to pay attention to. This date is a genuine safety warning. You'll usually find it on highly perishable stuff, fresh meat, chicken, fish, things where the risk of nasty bacteria goes way up after that point. And then there's sell by. Honestly, this one isn't for you at all. It's basically a secret message from the food company to the grocery store. It's just telling them when to take the product off the shelf. It's an inventory tool, not your deadline. So let's just boil it all down. Best before is about quality. Use by is about safety. If you remember literally just one thing from this whole explainer, please make it that.
But this whole thing gets even more interesting. There's a little twist in how these dates are even decided in the first place, kind of like a manufacturer's secret.
So just ask yourself this. Who is it that's actually stamping that date on your milk carton or your bag of chips? Is it some government agency, a food safety inspector, maybe? Nope. The answer is the manufacturers themselves. And get this, with the only exception being infant formula, there is no federal regulation of these dates in the US. It's entirely up to the companies to decide.
And think about what that means. To protect their brand, to avoid any possible lawsuits, companies are almost always going to pick very, very conservative dates. Which means the food is often perfectly fine for days or weeks, sometimes even months after the date on the package. This is especially true for foods that are shelf-stable. Canned goods, dry pasta, rice, frozen food, these things last forever. And then you've got amazing stuff like honey, which is naturally antibacterial and can literally last for centuries. Or a good bar of solid chocolate. They last way, way longer than their labels might suggest. So all of this brings us back to an idea our ancestors understood perfectly. It is time for us to start trusting our own senses again.
It's really all about knowing the risk profile of what you're eating. For high-risk things like fresh meat or fish, yeah, that use-by date is critical. But for all the low-risk stuff, pasta, canned goods, honey, your senses are a much, much better guide.
A printed number can't tell you if your specific can of beans was stored in a hot garage or if your bread got a little bit of moisture in it. Your own eyes and nose are often way better indicators of whether food is actually good to eat.
So as we start to wrap this up, the big idea here is just to reframe how we think about these dates. They're a helpful piece of information, for sure, but they are a guide, not the gospel.
So here it is. Here's a super simple, actionable checklist you can use every single day. First, check the date type. Is it about safety or is it about quality?
Second, use your senses. Look at it, smell it. And third, know the food's risk level. Is this something that spoils fast, or is it built to last?
So let's go all the way back to that yogurt. Now that you know the date is just a guide, not an unbreakable rule, what are you going to do differently next time? Just think about how much food and money you could save by trusting your own judgment just a little bit more.